Thanks for joining us from the E&E News newsroom in Washington, D.C. I'm Monica Trauzy, and joining me today is a very special guest, my friend and new editor of Climatewire, Mr. Evan Lehmann. Evan, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So you become editor at arguably the most critical time for energy and environment issues, certainly from a policy standpoint and also from a reporting perspective. Are you surprised by the level of attention that we've seen coming from this administration and also the mainstream media on climate issues?
So yeah, I am surprised at sort of the level of discussion around climate change that this administration has done, and then that has fed into the mainstream media attention, which is also interesting because I've sat in on White House briefings a lot in the past 5 months, and climate isn't often a big issue unless the administration starts talking about it, or unless the president starts saying that sea level rise won't affect a little island in the Chesapeake Bay that is clearly, disappearing. So it's been, like you said, a very important time to be covering climate change.
Yeah, and we've been covering these issues, both of us, for a long time, and I've certainly seen sort of a dramatic shift when it comes to coverage outside of publications like ours.
Yeah, right. Even cable news will cover climate.
Even cable news. Sometimes they won't get it all right, but they're still covering it.
They're trying.
And like you said, you spent time at the White House covering the administration's moves on climate and energy. What's coming next?
Well, all of the big announcements, as far as we know, have been announced. Now, the very important task of finding out how those announcements will play out and reverberate into the future is the important tasks that we're focused on, including the Clean Power Plan, deconstruction, withdrawal from Paris, and a lot of other issues.
And we're awaiting the announcement of Deputy Administrator at EPA, and we've been reporting this week that there's speculation the post could go to Jeff Homestead, who, of course, has been representing the coal industry at Bracewell and worked in the Bush EPA as air chief. How significant of a move could it be if the Trump administration goes with Homestead?
So, if that happens, it's an interesting choice. Some conservatives really don't like Homestead because they see him as too moderate on climate change. He was involved with the endangerment finding at the end of Bush's second term. He has made some references to the idea that carbon will eventually be regulated, and that actually became sort of a blown up point during the transition with Trump, where there were some conservative elements in EPA who were pointing with alarm at some of the things that Homestead said. On the other hand, environmentalists see him as an insidious threat because they think that he is sort of the ultimate insider that could do just enough climate policy that could skate through the courts and survive sort of their challenges and things like that. Like, for example, making power plants more efficient rather than a much broader, ambitious goal of, transitioning away from coal and bringing in natural gas and renewable energy and creating carbon markets and things like that.
Well, and that one could argue that just means that he's good at his job, right? Which makes him a more compelling choice for the administration.
Well, I think you've probably interviewed him a lot of times.
I've interviewed him many times, for sure. Okay, let's go back to Paris and Climatewire's coverage of that, because obviously the announcement is just the beginning. There are diplomatic implications. We don't quite know yet what other countries might do or how they will react down the line as a result of the U.S.'s removal. How do you see this story evolving this year?
Well, I think that the diplomatic issue is a big one. I think everybody's sort of jostling for pole position or maneuvering into their positions or negotiating stances right now. You see a lot of European nations, vowing to never sort of renegotiate the deal at this point. You've got the Trump administration who has said it would renegotiate the deal, but if it doesn't, that's fine too. So I get the sense that, everybody's sort of lining up and trying to find where a good place to negotiate is. On the more technical perspectives, withdrawing from Paris, is something that will take a lot of time, given the way that the Trump administration has begun this process. So, there's 3 or 4 years of of breaking news that we can cover through this process, and the direction that this goes is really up for grabs, I think, at this point.
All right, we're going to end it right there. There's so much to watch and cover, and we're going to be reading it all in ClimateWire. Congratulations again,
Thank you very much.
and thanks for watching.